Part 56. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 575. What do you mean I caused a peach blossom dead? Zhou Mikang looked at his young wife speechlessly. Do you think I would do something like that? Then why are you nervous? Why am I nervous? Chu Xia looked at him seriously. You are just nervous, I feel it. Zhou Mikang had no choice but to say, okay, I'm nervous. Actually, I'm worried that you may misunderstand. The chief's granddaughter that Zhao Qiliang mentioned is this woman. I must emphasize again that I didn't even look at her pass. Just lie. Chu Xia looked at him with contempt. If you haven't even looked at her, how could you immediately recognize that she is the chief's granddaughter? Zhou Mikang. Sure enough, I promise not to mess around. When he comes back, he will definitely settle the score with Zhou Hanliang. What a trick. Are you speechless? Chu Xia raised her eyebrows. I guess that she came here to wait for you to come, or she came here on purpose to demonstrate to me. Isn't it to say that people in this era are very nixiu? Are you very reserved? Why do you always encounter people like this? In your words, it's probably because I have the wrong aura, so I always attract the favor of such people. You are quite self-aware. Okay, I understand. Don't worry, no matter what she does, I won't be angry or jealous. A smile appeared on Zhou Mikang's lips. Do you trust me so much? It's not that I trust you, it's that I have confidence. Chu Xia said with determination, you won't like such a shallow woman. I still understand this. Okay, I take your words as a compliment. Zhou Mikang started the car. Put it into gear and move forward, I can handle it myself. I don't need you to intervene, I just want you to be mentally prepared. The car drove to the door. The girl quickly blocked in front of the car. Obviously, she had already known Zhou Mikang's license plate number and knew something about Zhou Mikang's whereabouts. Otherwise, she would not have been waiting at the door. Zhou Mikang continued to move forward without even looking at her. When the front of the car was a punch away from the girl, it suddenly swayed to the side. He drove into the hospital while wiping the girl's body. Chu Xia was startled and broke into a cold sweat. Should I say she is bold, or should I say she is crazy? Zhou Mikang, I really have doubts about your physique now. Why do you always attract neurotic girls? Didn't I attract you? Zhou Mikang asked. The attraction between us is normal, but the attraction between you and these people is abnormal. To put it bluntly, you chasing me and them chasing you are completely different things. The simple answer is that there are definitely more than these girls who are attracted to me, and they can appear in front of you precisely because they have this adventurous element in their characters. Otherwise, this matter can only be hidden in the heart, right? That's right. Chu Xia nodded. Have you sternly rejected her before? Of course. I said, I haven't even looked at her. If she has a normal mind, she shouldn't be here again. Zhou Mikang sighed. It's actually not a good thing to be too good. Early summer. When the two got out of the car, the girl waiting at the door stopped the car beside them, stretched out her head and shouted to Zhou Mikang, Captain Zhou, it's me. Zhou Mikang looked at her calmly. Is something wrong? I missed you, so I came to see you. The woman opened the door and got out of the car, turning a blind eye to Chu Xia. Captain Zhou, you are really not a friend enough. We agreed to keep in touch frequently. If I didn't come, would you have ignored me? Forget. This is my wife Lin Chuxia. In front of my wife, what are your intentions in saying such things to me? Zhou Mikang looked at her expressionlessly. I repeat, if you say that in front of me again, some are there but some are not, don't blame me for being rude. The woman's face turned red quickly. Zhou Mikang, there are not many men that I, Sujiahong, can like. This is your honor, do you know? Chu Xia, go to work. I'll come to have lunch with you at noon. Zhou Mikang kissed Chu Xia's forehead. his eyes full of doting, call me if you need anything. Okay, Chusia responded, turned around and walked to the hospital. Do you think I will back down if you show affection in front of me? Sujiahong sneered. Let me tell you, there is nothing I can't get my hands on, including people. Disgusting, Zhou Mikang said, got into the car, quickly started the car and drove out. Sujiahong stamped her feet and quickly got into the car to chase after him. This woman is not so fierce. Behind the glass door in the hospital lobby, Luo Xiaoxian sighed and looked at Chu Xia. Have you figured out what to do when you encounter such a shameless person? Do I need to worry about this? Chu Xia smiled and patted her cheek. Go to your class. You will leave the hospital after the new year. Don't hurry up and cherish the remaining days. Dean Su has handed over all the work, and I'm basically fine now. Luo Xiaoxian followed her step by step. Tell me the truth, are you really not worried? Sister, do I need to lie to you? Chu Xia looked at her helplessly, or do you think that the woman just now is worthy of my fuss? That's right, Luo Xiaoxian nodded. Huang Sui might be considered a competitor, but just like this, there is really no threat. Forget it, I really don't have to worry about it. You can do your business, I'm going back to the office. Chu Xia thought that Sujiahong would come to talk to her. As a result, after a busy day, she didn't see Sujiahong. When Zhou Mixang came to have dinner with her as scheduled at noon, she didn't see Sujiahong either. She said she didn't care before, but she didn't have the nerve to ask Zhou Mixang about Sujiahong. When she went home in the evening, she couldn't help it anymore and asked the question in her heart, why doesn't Sujiahong bother you anymore? Looking at you, you seem to be looking forward to having a woman pester me. Zhou Mikang stared at his young wife speechlessly. Can you act normal? I behaved quite normally. Chu Xia looked at her seriously. The fact that I can ask you now means that I care about this matter. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to ask, right? Zhou Mikang said lightly, I crashed her car and broke her calf. Oh, in response, Chu Xia finally thought about the meaning of his words and her eyes widened instantly. What did you say? She wanted to die when she hit the car. What can I do? Her broken leg was an accident. I'm not that bad. The sentence came out of Zhou Mikang's mouth, as if he was talking about what he had eaten for lunch. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 576. After being silent for a long time to digest what Zhou Mikang said, Chu Xia asked again, is it a comminuted fracture or another type? Which one do you want? Zhou Mikang asked. How insidious. Chu Xia rolled her eyes secretly, but did he think she would really be fooled like this? Just turn your face to the window and say nothing. Angry. Don't you just want to see if I'm vicious or kind? Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him. Tell you, I won't answer. Zhou Mikang sighed helplessly. I just wanted to say a few more words and chat with you, and I deliberately found a topic. Yes, it was devastating, but the doctor also said that as long as she followed the doctor's advice and took good care of her injuries, there was a high chance of a complete recovery. However, this year, it seemed that she would have to spend her time in the hospital. Do you think her grandfather will settle a score with you? Chu Xia blinked her big eyes. Also, will he avenge himself against you? Come on, am I afraid? Zhou Mikang looked indifferent. Now that I have done it, I have nothing to be afraid of. No matter how good my granddaughter is, how can she still blame me? It would be nice if he thought so. Chu Xia patted Zhou Mikang sympathetically. I'm sorry for making you feel wronged. If a man pesters me later, I promise to do it as neatly as you. You also broke someone's leg. Zhou Mikang looked her up and down. Do you have the courage? Being neat doesn't mean you have to break someone's leg. Aren't you too narrow-minded? Chu Xia rolled her eyes again. Why do I want to despise you so much? It's too unimaginative. Then tell me how to deal with the other party. Zhou Mikang looked at her with interest. You told me, I'm curious. By the way, you can also teach me how to avoid such violent methods next time. Didn't you say you didn't do it on purpose? Chuseok smirked. Look, the secret was revealed accidentally. The smile on Joe Mikang's face faded little by little, and he remained silent for a long time. After quietly looking at him for a few times, Chuseok quickly coaxed him, I'm just kidding, don't be angry. In fact, I know you value me so much. I still feel very happy in my heart, but I also feel that the other party didn't do anything to harm me. It seems too unkind to me to think so. I did this to her. In fact, it is for the benefit of everyone. Sighing, Joe Miksang said, since the last time she went to perform with her grandfather, I discovered that her character is as overbearing and selfish as Yamiru. What I said at that time was quite clear. I didn't expect that she could still come here. I don't want the second Yamiru to appear in front of you again and do something disgusting to you. Such people. It's no use trying to reason with her, just ignore her. It's useless, there's nothing we can do. I can only fight with her, at least. This will make her understand completely that I don't like her at all. Even if she hates me and takes revenge on me from now on, it doesn't matter. It's much easier to deal with an enemy than to deal with a mangy person who is neither an enemy nor a friend. Joe Mikang. Chuseok stared at the other party seriously, thank you. Why are you doing this so grandly? Joe Mikang frowned, looking at the way you looked just now, I thought you were going to tell me some big reason. You were shocked to death. What's the point? To put it bluntly, as a woman, I like a man to pamper me like this, but I also know that this is too selfish. I have made too many enemies, which is not good for you or me. However, the truth is clear, I still like everything you do for me, Joe Mikang, I like you more and more, what should I do? It's okay, the more you like me, the happier I will be. Joe Mikang smiled and stroked her head, I feel now that everything I have done is worth it. Is it worth it for you to go to jail? Of course it's worth it, but... Joe Mikang shrugged, the party responsible for the accident is Suchiahong, and it's impossible for them to want me to go to jail. I'm sorry, I really can't figure out how to make her become the responsible party for the accident. Chuseok looked at him confused, is it possible that she wants to die with you? That's not to say. A sarcastic smile appeared on Joe Mikang's lips, she must have been spoiled by her family, thinking that everyone should focus on her and revolve around her. After leaving the hospital, she kept following me, even if I ignored her or looked at her. Later, perhaps annoyed by my attitude, she deliberately drove her car into my car. She probably thought that in that case, I would definitely choose to retreat, otherwise, I would be much more seriously injured than her. Unfortunately, what she didn't understand was that even if she ran straight into me, let alone the car, if it collides with me, I can find a way to prevent myself from getting hurt at all. So, when I saw her hitting her, I not only didn't lift the car's hind legs, but also pushed forward toward her. As a result, the driver's seat hit the front side of my car hard. If the car she drove wasn't spacious enough, it probably wouldn't have been a problem with the shattered calf. If she didn't knock all her intestines out, she would have burned incense. Hiss. Chuseok took 2 breaths, fortunately I am your wife, lucky I didn't fall in love with you first, otherwise, tisk tisk. Joe Mikang glared at her and stopped talking to her. Are you really angry this time? I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was just joking. I know you wouldn't do that to me. Even if I fell in love with you first, you wouldn't do that to me. I really know that. Joe Mikang, let's not be so petty, okay? I've already admitted my mistake, so just be a big boss and stop arguing with me, okay? It's boring for you to be like this. Silence is golden, Chuseok sighed, okay, then I will choose silence as golden. As he said this, he turned his head out of the window and stopped talking. Normally, He just sat in the car and said nothing, but now, the silence in the cab made Chu Xia feel particularly depressed. He had no choice but to turn around and said, "Zhou Mikang, I believe you, I really do." Zhou Mikang glanced at her lightly. "Change your words." "How to change?" Chu Xia scratched her head in confusion. "Can you give me a hint? My mind is a little twitchy right now, I'm scared by you. Tell me how you feel about me." Ah, Chu Xia was stunned for a moment, and immediately understood what he meant, curling her lips with contempt. "Zhou Mikang, it's wrong to take advantage of others' danger. I don't want to say that to you yet. Why, do you have other ideas? Do you still want to like other men?" "Oh, this," Chu Xia giggled, "I can say this, Zhou Mikang, I like you." "Not enough. Scoundrel." The car drove back to Zhou's house. It was already past 6 o'clock in the evening. At the door, I met Ying. The little girl grabbed Chu Xia mysteriously and quickly entered the hall. After greeting all the elders, he took Chu Xia back to his room. "Little, third aunt, let me tell you a secret." Aunt Xiaojing held hands with the man when they met. Since Zhou Zhonkong and his wife came back, Ying no longer calls her little aunt Chuxia, but her third aunt. This makes the two of them particularly uncomfortable, and they often call her little, third aunt. "What do you mean?" Chu Xia looked at her in confusion. "What man did Xiaojing meet? What makes you make such a fuss, little guy? Do you really understand what you are talking about?" "Little, third aunt, you don't believe me?" Ying pursed her lips. "I won't tell anyone. I was the first to tell third aunt, but you still treat me like this. I will have secrets from now on, and I won't tell anyone anymore." "Told you." Chu Xia quickly apologized. "I just thought you were so young and you shouldn't understand. I'm sorry, it was my fault. I shouldn't have looked down on children. Please tell me in detail what happened." "Aunt Xiaojing went to school to pick me up these days. Every time I came out, she stood with an uncle. Today they held hands and quickly let go when they saw me. They thought I didn't see it. In fact, I've seen it all. Grandma told me that girls cannot let boys hold hands. Only bad girls let boys hold hands. Third aunt, Xiaojing is a bad girl, right?" After thinking about it, Chu Xia explained, "You can't say that. Aunt Xiaojing has reached the age of finding a boyfriend. Maybe it is her boyfriend who holds her hand. After a while, they can get married, so, like this, the handles don't necessarily belong to bad girls. She used to always ask me about my third uncle and my third aunt. She also said that third aunt was not good. Huh, I hate her. Now she doesn't say that third aunt is not good and she holds a man's hand again. She must be a bad person." "Girl," the little girl said, wrinkled her nose, and emphasized again, "Yes, she is a bad girl. I even saw her secretly smelling her third uncle's shoes, and she didn't mind the smell." Originally, Chu Xia didn't think anything was wrong, but when she heard Ying talking about Xiaojing taking Zhou Mixang's shoes to smell, she frowned. This kind of thing has been done. If Xiaojing has no idea about Zhou Mikang, I would not believe it even if I beat her to death. However, given her age, it is normal to have fantasies about Zhou Mikang. However, now that she knows this kind of thing, she can't hold it in and pretend to be confused. Guessing about some things will only make the results worse. It's better to ask them and everyone will be happy. After dinner, Chu Xia excused herself from eating too much and wanted to go out for a walk, so she asked Xiaojing to accompany her. "Third young mistress, how nice of you to let third young master accompany you." After leaving the door, Xiaojing looked embarrassed. "My clumsy tongue will make third young mistress bored." Chu Xia glanced at her lightly. "Why, are you scared to let you walk with me?" "No. No," Xiaojing waved her hands repeatedly. "The third young lady is such a good person, what should I be afraid of? It's not too late to like her." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First Marriage Then Love, Mr. Mayor Please Be Kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 577. What did the third young master say to you? Returning to the nanny's room in the evening, Liu's mother lowered her voice and asked Xiaojing, I see that you have been in a low mood since you came back. Does the third young master know your thoughts about the third young master? Xiaojing remained silent, and Liu's mother knew that she had guessed correctly. After a moment of hesitation, she said, Didn't you figure it all out last time? Do you want to inform the old lady and let her help you make up your mind? Why did you suddenly just change your mind? Every time I ask you, you avoid me. Jing, we have been together for more than a day or two. I really treat you as my daughter. If you can trust me, talk to me about what you know and don't keep it to yourself. Not good for health. When I was walking on the street, I saw Zhang Jun and a woman holding hands. Xiaojing bit her lower lip. Mom Lu, I know that he already has a partner, how can I let Zhang Jun go again? Mom proposes marriage. The third young lady came to see me today. She indeed knew what I was thinking about the third young master. She asked directly and told me that she would discuss with the old lady and the third young master to arrange individual work for me. You agreed? Do I have the right to speak? Xiaojing sighed heavily. 3 young mistresses have said that. Is it useful if I don't agree? But Mother Lu, I really don't want to leave. I grew up in the Zhou family. To me, the Zhou family is my natal family, and the old lady and madam are my biological grandmother and biological mother. I am particularly reluctant to leave them. You kid likes to keep everything in your heart. I'll ask Zhang's mother about Zhang Jun, maybe the person with him is his sister or cousin. We have known Zhang Ma for just a day. If her nephew has a partner, how could he still mention this matter to us? You have the right family. Third young mistress will not change you place, besides. By then, maybe you will no longer want to be a nanny and want to go to your man's house to enjoy your life. Don't ask. It would be embarrassing if someone already has one. Xiaojing sighed again. If that doesn't work, I'll just listen to the third young master and find another job, or as the third young master said, I just see the third young master every day, only then will I have those thoughts that I shouldn't have. I changed my job and have a new social circle. Maybe I won't have random thoughts. Mom Lu, let me tell you the truth. I have been very conflicted during this time. Before you exposed me, I could still control myself, but since I told you, I can't control myself. Seeing the third young master, everything about him. I think it's good. Even his shoes and socks smell good to me. Every time I look forward to washing the third young master's clothes with my own hands. It's a pity that the third young master is a very particular person and washes his own clothes. I can't even get my hands on it. I also know that I am not normal, but, the more you try to control yourself, the less you can control yourself. There is nothing you can do. I had no choice but to agree to date Qifei. However, I don't like him, and I don't want the old lady to know, so I always meet him when I go to pick up Xiaojing. I tried to get close to him, but every time he held my hand, I felt sick in my heart. Mother Lu, do you think there is something wrong with me? After thinking about it, Liu's mother asked, do you think it would make you sick if Zhang Jun held your hand? Xiaojing shook her head. I don't know, I haven't held hands with him either. You kid, why are you acting so nonsense? If you don't like Qifei, why are you trying to hook him up? You said that if you can't get along with him, you can find someone else in the future, and he will let you go. Xiaojing muttered and was speechless. Qifei was a security guard of the Ye family and grew up in the Ye family. Therefore, Xiaojing often played with him when he was young. Later, because Yamiru and Jo Mixang had a falling out, the Ye family and the Jo family had less contact, and the two lost contact. This year, the two families resumed contact. Chi-Fei often accompanied Mr. Ye to the Jo family, and he was somewhat interested in Xiaojing. Xiaojing had always ignored him before because she felt that he was too hot-tempered and not an ideal marriage partner. Later, Liu's mother talked to her and happened to see Zhang Jun with another girl, so Xiaojing had the idea of finding someone to marry. However, the idea was only for a while, but when she actually did it, it's another thing. When I'm with Chi-Fei, I always dislike everything about the other person. To this day, I've basically reached the limit of my tolerance. She and Chi-Fei mentioned that they were not suitable, but the other party refused without thinking, making it clear that he thought they were suitable and did not agree to break up. When Lu Ma said this, she felt even more regretful. What if Chi-Fei must marry her? Even holding hands makes me feel uncomfortable. What if it goes further? She simply didn't dare to think about it anymore. If you misunderstood Zhang Jun, would you still be with him? Xiaojing was hesitant and speechless. You can't say you have to pull her over to be sure, right? Mother Lu looked at her helplessly. What you have to do now is to force yourself to stop daydreaming. Among these men, how many of the same age as the third young master can match up to the third young master? Not to mention others, even the eldest, fifth, and eighth young masters in our family cannot compare with the third young master, right? But compared with the others, the eldest, fifth and eighth young masters in our family are all first class. Thinking about it this way, do you think that if you have the third young master in your heart, you can still fall in love with other men? I also came here when I was young, and I understand what you are thinking now, but Xiaojing, sometimes, this person has to look at what kind of man is more suitable for his own conditions. You can't do this kind of thing according to your own temper. You are still young now and don't think anything of it. If you stay for another 3 to 5 years, not even Zhang Jun or even Chi-Fei will want you. Mother Lu, please help me, ask. Xiaojing closed her eyes and sighed heavily. I feel very uncomfortable. I have decided that no matter what, I will listen to the third young lady and find another place. That's okay. Mother Lu took her hand and patted her. The Jo family are all kind-hearted. No matter where you go, when you are wronged and bullied, they will never ignore you. You may be reluctant to leave this person, but for the sake of a lifetime of happiness, you have to force yourself. To be honest, the third young lady is a good person. Otherwise, how could she be so considerate of you and kick you out directly? You have to suffer it, yes, no? Xiaojing nodded. Mom Lu, I understand. When the third young lady told me directly, I felt a little uncomfortable. She said that she was straight-tempered and didn't like to beat around the bush with me. If I were sensible, she would know everything. For my sake, if I don't know what's going on, don't blame her for being rude. When I heard her say that, I was very angry. I felt that she was using her status as a master to suppress me. Now is not the old society. Being a nanny is also a job for me. Moreover, the old lady and my wife treat me as a relative. She relies on her. Why are you talking about me like that? Although I didn't say anything against it along the way, I was unconvinced. But now, after listening to your analysis, Ms. Lu, I feel that meeting such a young lady is better than the kind of person who smiles on the surface and doesn't say anything. The one who stabs you in the back is stronger. Don't worry, Mom Lu, no matter what happens, I won't blame anyone in the Jo family. They are my relatives, and I really regard the Jo family as my own home. Now, I will treat it as if I have grown up and want to go out. After working, people will have to have this day. Thinking about it this way, it won't be so uncomfortable. It's best if you think it over. Mother Lu stroked her head. I was afraid that you would get into trouble. I saw you changed your mind a few days ago and didn't say anything, but I was so worried. I'm sorry for worrying you. Why are you so polite to me? Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang were also talking about Xiaojing. She told Zhou Mikang about her decision and said, whether you blame me for making a decision without consulting you or not, if something like this happens again, I will still take this approach. I know Zhou Mikang shook his head funny. Don't you just want to use this method to judge whether I think you are the most important thing in my heart? If I object, you will think that I am interested in her. Stop it, right? Is it not? Of course not. Zhou Mikang shook his head. Xiaojing, to me, is just a little sister who grew up in the Zhou family. I believe her feelings for me are also misunderstood. She has no relatives, and grandma loves her very much. Her mother and second aunt were also good to her, so she felt a sense of belonging to this family, and she had a vague desire to stay in the Zhou family. Originally, I was the only one in my family who had never gotten married at my age. At her age, it was normal for her to have random thoughts. Unexpectedly, just as she was thinking wildly, you got married. Since I got married to you, as long as I'm not on a mission, I'm definitely at home. I believe everyone in the family can see how attentive and considerate I am to you. To be honest, even though they didn't say it, I could guess that it started. At that time, I believe no one could adapt. You have never seen me before. I was indifferent to everyone in this family. It was not that I was deliberately indifferent, but I had too much hatred and complaints in my heart at that time. When the knots in people's hearts are lifted, they become more tolerant, and people seem to be naturally friendly. Therefore, misunderstandings arise. Xiaojing doesn't interact with others, so she treats me as her ideal fantasy object. Already? What do you mean by telling me so much? Chu Xia looked at him indifferently. Could it be that you want me to take back what I said and let her continue to stay in the Zhou family? Of course not. I just want to explain to you why she has such thoughts, and also to let you understand that I am very popular. You must cherish it in the future, okay? Chu Xia rolled her eyes and glared at him bitterly. I don't know. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 578. You really don't know. Zhou Mikang rubbed his little wife's smooth hair in a funny way. If you don't know, just don't know. Anyway, you don't have to worry, I'll take care of everything. TCH, Chu Xia rolled her eyes at him contemptuously, and slid down to lie down. I'm sleepy, go to sleep, good night. Are you really sleepy or don't want to talk to me anymore? Zhou Mikang turned off the bedside lamp, stretched his arms under his wife's neck, and carefully tucked his wife into bed before lying down. When he was here, there was this set of actions every night. At first, Chu Xia was very uncomfortable, but now, he has become completely accustomed to it. She didn't sleep very well, and would often lean over or push off the quilt in the middle of the night. Every time, he would wake up in time and help her deal with it. How could he do this if it wasn't true love? Nestling in his arms, thinking about the scenes after the wedding in her mind, Chu Xia's breathing became evener after a while. Zhou Mikang didn't fall asleep for a long time. He knew that he would face a storm tomorrow, but he didn't regret it. How can a man be called a man if he can't even protect his wife? Early the next morning, Xiaojing took the initiative to find Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkaiu, and frankly told them her thoughts, hoping that the old lady and his wife could help her find another job. Hey, old Mrs. Zhou looked at her and sighed heavily. Xiaojing, Grandma has noticed your thoughts a long time ago and hasn't said anything because she doesn't want you to be unable to stay in this house. To you, the Zhou family is your natal family. It's not that the Zhou family doesn't want to take care of you after you leave here. I'm worried that you won't be able to think about it and won't have any contact with the Zhou family from now on. Now that you understand it yourself. Grandma was relieved about work. I will make arrangements for you as soon as possible. From now on, just treat the Zhou family as your natal family. When you think you can return to the Joe family again, you can ask it yourself. There will always be a place for you in this family. As for your marriage, I will help you take care of it. Thank you, Madam Xiaojing sniffed, it's my fault. I disappoint the old madam, but please don't worry, after the young lady gives birth to the baby, I will come back to help take care of it. She was talking about Yutao. In more than 4 months, Yutao's baby would be born. Old Mrs. Joe sighed, don't worry about things at home. Grandma doesn't want you to be in trouble. What do you young people think? Grandma can generally understand, who has never been young, right? If only it were that easy to adjust. I guess you don't need to ask to leave the Joe family. Xiaojing, in short, live your life well. This is the best reward for Grandma and the Joe family. Old Madam. Don't you blame me, Xiaojing looked at old Madam Joe with an uneasy look on her face, do you really want me to come back? Of course Mrs. Joe knew that she had misunderstood what she meant. He said, the reason why the eldest mistress won't let you come back to take care of the baby after she gives birth is not because she doesn't want you to go back to the Joe family, nor because she doesn't believe you, but because she doesn't want you to come back and face all this before you can get over it. Old Madam, I'm sorry. You know clearly that I am of low status and shouldn't have random thoughts, but I still can't help but think about things I shouldn't have. Not only did you not blame me, you also thought of me so much. Xiaojing muttered. Not going down. Okay, stop talking about this. Your grandparents have paid a lot for this family, but the Joe family failed to protect them. With a heavy sigh, Mrs. Joe touched her head, let your life be happy, it's as it should be. After a moment of hesitation, Xiaojing looked at old Mrs. Joe, old madam, can I call you grandma? Certainly. Grandmother. Why? Grandma, Xiaojing hugged Mrs. Joe and burst into tears, I won't be with you in the future, so you have to take good care of yourself. I will adjust myself as soon as possible and try to return to Grandma as soon as possible to take care of her. Lin Yangkai shook her head in a funny way, Xiaojing, it's not a separation of life and death, is there any need to do this? If you want to return to this home, you can always, but the premise is that you can't do anything that harms this home. Grandma has a good heart, remembers the kindness of your grandparents, and is very tolerant to you. But for me, I don't feel much about those kindnesses. What I want is the happiness of my son and daughter-in-law. No matter who wants to destroy their happiness, I will never allow it. Therefore, my idea is that no matter whether you can figure it out in the future, it is best not to work in the Joe family again. When you hear what I say now, you may think that I am too ruthless, but when you experience some things and encounter the happiness that truly belongs to you, you will understand that this is the best way for you. Madam. Xiaojing looked at Lin Yangkai blankly, not knowing what to say. After a moment of silence, Mrs. Joe sighed again, Xiaojing, Yangkai is right. For you, this is indeed the best way. I am a little emotional. I always feel that your child has grown up in front of my eyes. Somewhat reluctant. But in fact, what I did is unfair to you, and it is also unfair to my grandson-in-law. No matter whether you can think about it or not in the future, face to face with Xiaomi Chuxia every day will make you feel uncomfortable, and they will probably feel uncomfortable too. Old lady. Xiaojing's voice contained a cry, and she looked at old Madame Joe helplessly, like a puppy abandoned by its owner. Old Mrs. Joe was a little soft-hearted by her, but when she thought of what her daughter-in-law had just said, she hardened her heart. Xiaojing, no matter what happens to you in the future, the Joe family will try their best to help you, but when you come back to the Joe family, forget it. Bar. Grandma, you just said clearly that I can come back. I also promise that I will not think about it again in the future. I just want to stay with you and your wife. I have no other intentions. Really, please, Don't chase me away. Let's go, madam. I promise that I won't do anything to disgrace the third young master and the third young mistress. Please don't kick me out of the Joe family, okay? No one wants you to leave the Joe family, I just hope you can live your own life. Lin Yangkao sighed softly. Xiaojing, if you continue to act like this, I will really doubt your thoughts. If you really want to be open-minded and don't want to affect the relationship between Xiaomi and Chuxia, do you need to act like this now? The old lady has promised to take care of you from now on, what are you still worried about? Xiaojing didn't know what to say, and she didn't know what she was worried about, but when she thought about not being able to return to Joe's house again, she panicked to death. She couldn't imagine the feeling of becoming a rootless duckweed from now on. Her original gratitude to Chuxia disappeared without a trace at this moment. She even wondered whether Chuxia had communicated with Lin Yangkao last night. Obviously, Lin Chuxia promised her before that she would handle this matter by herself, but what does it mean to resort to such tactics later? During breakfast, Xiaojing was much quieter than before. Chuxia knew that Mrs. Zhou and Lin Yangkao must have known about Xiaojing's decision. Unintentionally, Chuxia discovered that Xiaojing's eyes were full of resentment when he looked at her. On the way to the hospital, Chuxia looked at Zhou Mikang. What did you say to Xiaojing? No, she talked to grandma and mom herself. They informed me and asked me to tell you that this kind of thing will never happen again in the family. Both mom and grandma apologized to you. They said that in fact, they had discovered Xiaojing's thoughts a long time ago, but they felt that she had no relatives and had grown up in the Zhou family, so they had been pretending not to notice, and hoped that she could figure it out on her own. Now, although Xiaojing has figured it out, she still wants to stay in the Zhou family. This is unfair to you. Mom is firmly opposed to this, and grandma finally complied with her wishes. No wonder Xiaojing looks at me so unkindly. She thought I complained to my mother, so my mother insisted not to let her stay in the Zhou family. Chuxia said and laughed. I didn't expect that my mother would complain to me like this. I'm so touched. When did mom not care about you? Zhou Mikang glanced at her lightly. Do you believe that if I tell mom this, she will settle the score with you? Of course I know that my mother has always been towards me. I mean, I didn't expect that she would be so determined towards me. In fact, Xiaojing grew up in the Zhou family. I understand how deep my mother's feelings are for her, but at this time, I was really touched that my mother could say such a thing. Zhou Mikang, I am not afraid at all of meeting this kind of person again. I already know your attitude. Mom's attitude is also there. Grandma's attitude is the same as mom. What else do I have to worry about? Aren't you angry that grandma agreed to let Xiaojing continue to work at Zhou's house in the first place? What's there to be angry about? Chuxia shrugged. How can a child who has watched him grow up since childhood be emotionless? Moreover, I believe grandma still misses the kindness of Xiaojing's grandparents, so it's even harder to be too unfeeling. Of course, what my mother did was not because she was ruthless, but because she didn't get along well with the elders of Xiaojing's family and didn't have much affection, so she would resolutely protect me. In short, I was very happy and touched. At the same time, I won't hold on to Xiaojing's matter. It's not easy for her, hey. He sighed heavily and poked Zhou Mikang's head with his fingers. You are the culprit of this matter. If you hadn't been unmarried and missed her, would this be the case? Speaking of which, there is nothing wrong with her. What girl is not pregnant? Right? Can you not talk like this? Zhou Mikang glared at her. How dare I not get married, and I'm sorry to the party, the country, and everyone. He. Chuxia smiled and raised her eyebrows. That's why I rescued you in time. Otherwise, I don't know how many ignorant pregnant spring girls you would have harmed. Lin Chuxia. Huh, Chuxia stared at Zhou Mikang with an innocent face. What do you want to teach me a lesson? Zhou Mikang. What can I say to such a scoundrel? First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 579. Hey, hey, hey. As soon as Chu Xia entered the hospital gate, Luo Xiaoxian, who had been there earlier, pulled her aside and said, "Let me tell you, Yamiru is back to work again." Chu Xia stroked her forehead speechlessly. After something like that happened, you still have the nerve to come back to work. What a strong psychological quality you have. I admire you. Yes, when she came in the morning, everyone was muttering, but she went to the dean's office without looking away, and now she went to report to Director Jing. Luo Xiaoxian shrugged. Is it unexpected? Chu Xia's eyes widened in shock. She became one of Jing Zhe's assistants. That's right, Luo Xiaoxian nodded. Why don't I have to intercept you here early in the morning? I just want to tell you in advance so that you can be mentally prepared. I really don't understand what she's thinking now. Tell me, what exactly is she trying to do? Could it be that she wants to attack your god brother because she has nothing to do with the leader of your family? The problem is that Captain Zheng and Teacher Jing are already engaged. If she really has such thoughts, Captain Zheng's life will not be easy in the future. Regardless of whether Teacher Jing is interested in her or not, with such a person beside her, as Teacher Jing's fiancé, it would be strange if Captain Zheng could sleep peacefully. What on earth is causing this trouble? During the Chinese New Year, does she have to make others unhappy in order to be happy? Chu Xia sighed. I'll call Sister Meili later. Anyway, she is also Aunt Zhou Mixang's cousin. I should inform her whether in public or private. Xiaoxian, I won't say thank you. Anyway, I am a good sister. For life. You look silly. Who asked you to say thank you? Also, don't try to take advantage of me. I'm your sister-in-law. It's so shameless. You haven't married my brother yet. Chu Xia scratched her nose. You are so shameless. Who is not ashamed? I am reminding you that if you talk about sisters, I am your sister, and if you talk about relatives, I am your sister-in-law. So, thanking me is too disrespectful. Chu Xia waved her hand. Okay, I won't talk to you anymore. I'll go back to the office first and chat at noon. Luo Xiaoxian sighed. Dean Su is resigning today. There are quite a lot of things. I may not have time to have dinner with you at noon. Let's go to the evening. Come with me tonight. I'll go see Uncle Baohe and Aunt Yulan. When I came to the office in early summer, Wang Jing and Lu Yanning were cleaning, because Song Xiao had promised Lu Yanning to be his assistant later in the year, and she would come over to help whenever she had time these days. Obviously, she wanted to have a good relationship with Wang Jing before coming over. After all, Wang Jing's reputation from the outside world was very bad before. Senior Sister Lu. Are you done with your work over there? Chu Xia asked in a low voice. Yes, Lu Yanning nodded. I came early in the morning. Everything is done over there. When Lu Yanning spoke, he didn't dare to look at people. Thinking that she hadn't been like this before, Chu Xia took a look at her eyes. It didn't matter. He found that there was a large bruise on her hanging neck. Senior Sister Lu, your back is a little gray. Lu Yanning reflexively looked up and looked back. At this moment, Chu Xia and Wang Jing saw that her entire face was covered with bruises and blood stains. What's wrong with your face? Wang Jing put down the broom and grabbed her shoulders. I said you've been drooping your head since you came in. Did you ask your father to hit you or your daughter to hit you? It's okay, Lu Yanning smiled forcefully. I just accidentally got a little exposed when I was having a fight. It's okay. I'll be fine soon with some medicine. Wang Jing frowned. Director Tao hit your mother again? Why? His mother complained to him, saying that the New Year's goods my mother bought were running low and that she must have secretly taken them back to her parents' house. He went back and caught my mother and beat her up. I happened to meet him when I got home, so I stepped forward to start a fight. He thought I was nosy, so he pushed me away. He hit me on the table and got a bruise on his forehead. Originally, my mother never fought back, but when she saw that I was injured, she stopped giving in. She started tearing and fighting with him, and his daughter came out of the room and joined him in beating my mother, so I definitely stopped giving in. He and his daughter were stronger than my mother and I, so the result was that my mother and I were more seriously injured, while he and his daughter were less seriously injured. It's okay, I've experienced this kind of situation many times before. Anyway, I don't plan to stay in that home any longer, so I'll just tolerate him this time. When I came to work in the morning, my mother said that after the Chinese New Year, she would file for divorce from him and take me back to live with my grandma. My grandma and grandpa have promised us and my mother to go back and squeeze in. When we can afford to rent a house by ourselves, we will move out. Hey, what kind of life are you living like? By the way, if your grandma and grandpa's house is crowded, you can consider living in a dormitory. It would be better to let your mother go back and live by herself, right? If I live in a dormitory, how can others sleep? Lu Yanning smiled sheepishly. Grandma's house has a balcony, and the sound insulation is pretty good when the door is closed. No one can be affected by me living there. Your snoring can probably be cured. I suggest you go to the traditional Chinese medicine department and get some medicine. And Chu Xia hesitated and said, you don't live in Tao's house anymore, so why don't you clean yourself up? It will be more convenient. Don't be angry when I say this. To be honest, when I went in and lay down for a while, I was almost fainted by you. It is good for girls to pay attention to such things. I know tears welled up in Lu Yanning's eyes. I don't want to say too much about it, but there is really nothing I can do about it. There was no place for me to scrub at home. Tao Fang did not allow me to scrub in the bedroom, and I could not scrub in the hall. He stipulated that I must go home within 20 minutes after get off work. It was impossible for me to take a bath in the hospital bathhouse. At the beginning, I was very uncomfortable with it, but then I got used to it and just got used to it. I knew that others would be annoyed by me, but I really had no choice. What's wrong with him? Wang Jing was speechless. He is your stepfather, not your husband. Why does he make such unreasonable demands on you? He asked me to go home early and make paper boxes to supplement my family income. Otherwise, I would not be allowed to work in the hospital. Lu Yanning sniffed. Anyway, I still thank him for letting me work in the hospital. This is my mother's wish, is also my ideal. I like this job, I really like it, so I don't hate him at all. Wang Jing had been looking at Lu Yanning carefully, and now she said, I just realized that you are quite good looking. Chu Xia, take a look, isn't it? I've discovered it a long time ago. She just doesn't clean up. She always likes to lower her head, so she doesn't get noticed. Chu Xia said, stepping forward and patting Lu Yanning on the back, stand up straight, raise your head. Wang Jing said with admiration, not bad, it feels a little different this way. The energy and spirit are different, and the whole person looks different. Really? Lu Yanning smiled sheepishly. Tao Fang always said I was ugly. My mother told me not to look at people too seriously, so I always thought I was very ugly. You, silly sister. Wang Jing put her arms around her shoulders and said, Tao Fang said you were ugly because of jealousy, and your mother told you not to look at others too seriously to protect you. If I guess correctly, your mother is probably worried about what your stepfather thinks of you, otherwise, she would not do that. Chu Xia glanced at the time and hurriedly walked to the phone. I have to make a call quickly. Senior sister, you have worked hard today. I will be responsible for the hygiene tomorrow. Isn't it just some work? Look at you, aren't you too outsider? Wang Jing picked up the thermos and walked out. Yanning, go back quickly. You have to work for the last few days, so keep at it. I know Lu Yanning saw that it was not far from work time, so he stopped staying here. In any case, their mother and daughter would still have to spend this year at Tao's house. According to local customs, married girls are not allowed to return home. Her parents' family was celebrating the new year, and they didn't even have a place to stay. No matter what, they couldn't make Tao Jianping fall out at this moment. ZenMaleLead was quite happy to receive a call from Chu Xia. To her, Chu Xia was her third cousin-in-law, her sister-in-law, a former student, and her fiancé's former crush. After spending so long together, she automatically ignoring the secret crush item, the other 3 items all made her feel very friendly. Most importantly, she liked Chu Xia's personality and character very much, and she was willing to associate with him. Sister-in-law, why are you calling me so early? Don't tell me, you miss me. ZenMaleLead's voice was relaxed and cheerful, and she was in a good mood as soon as she heard it. Sister Malelee, please stop making fun of me. Didn't we agree that in private, we should call you whatever you want? It's so serious that I don't know what to say to you. Haha. ZenMaleLead laughed. I knew there must be something wrong with you calling me so early. Just tell me. You don't have to be polite to me. After thinking about the words, Chu Xia said, there is something I need to say hello to you first. Yamiru has become my brother's assistant. It was just decided this morning. Yamiru became Jingzhe's assistant, ZenMaleLead repeated, and chuckled. Are you worried that I will be jealous, or are you worried that Jingzhe will be seduced by Yamiru? Chu Xia was stunned there. Yes, what was she worried about? The moment she learned that Yamiru had become Jingzhe's assistant, she was worried about ZenMaleLead, but what was she worried about? Third sister-in-law, thank you. ZenMaleLead's voice was full of seriousness. I am particularly touched by your performance. Really, if you didn't treat me as the closest person, you wouldn't worry about me, and you wouldn't be there for me. You called me without thinking about it. Don't worry, Yamiru can't make too many waves. This time, I will definitely let her get her wish. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 580. Yamiru really became Director Jing's assistant. When Chu Xia hung up the phone, Wang Jing looked at her in surprise. When did this happen? This morning, Xiaoxian just told me specifically. Chu Xia spread her hands. Do you think she will never have the face to go back to the hospital? Yes, although the details are not stated clearly, almost everyone in our hospital does not know what happened between her and Huang Baoquan. Even Huang Baoquan was too embarrassed to show up in the hospital, but she can come back again. It's really, Wang Jing shook her head. In your words, there is no shameless thing, only more shameless things. Same feeling. Chu Xia nodded. It took me a long time to accept this fact, so I called Sister Malelee as soon as possible. Whether it is business or private, I should inform her as soon as possible. I'm really worried about Dr. Zheng. Wang Jing couldn't help but sigh. Such a shameless woman spends time with her fiancé every day. It has nothing to do with trust. It's just disgusting. What's so lively about it? Song Xiao asked curiously as soon as she walked in and saw the 2 apprentices chatting animatedly head to head. Wang Jing was the first to say. Chu Xia said that Yamiru has become Director Jing's assistant. Teacher, do you think this person is too shameless? It's quite shameless, but... Song Xiao put down her bag before continuing. You should be lucky that she didn't ask to be my assistant. That's right. Wang Jing patted her head. Chu Xia, I didn't react until the teacher said this. What would it be like if she asked to be an assistant under the teacher and you look at her every day? But, Chu Xia clasped her hands together and chanted. He said, teacher is indeed a teacher. Now that you say that, why am I so lucky? Heartless. Wang Jing couldn't help but roll her eyes at her. The hot water you hum with your brother and cousin really has nothing to do with you. There isn't such a deep grudge between them and her. Chu Xia spread her hands. If she has to come under teacher Song, I don't care. The teacher and senior sister are all for me. I don't believe it. In this kind of situation, she can stay comfortably when surrounded by enemies on all sides. Wang Jing looked at Song Xiao. Teacher, go and ask for Yamiru to be your subordinate. I did that because I was mentally ill. I asked her to come here. If I don't treat her well, do you think Dean Feng is as easy to talk to as Dean Su? Teacher, I forgot. Wang Jing scratched her head in embarrassment. I forgot that Dean Su will be transferred soon. During this time, Dean Feng was in charge. If Dean Su is in charge of the work, do you think she will agree to transfer Yamiru to Jingjia? Song Xiao sighed. Dean Feng is a very serious leader, whether it is public or private. As long as you come up with for legitimate reasons, she will treat them absolutely fairly. This absolutely means that it has nothing to do with character, right? Wang Jing shook her head as she spoke. Teacher, then our days in the future will really be in dire straits. Your reputation in surgery is so great that those who don't like you are looking for an opportunity now. It seems that we will have to put our tail between our legs in the future. TCH. Who is afraid of whom? Chu Xia snorted coldly. Teacher relies on his ability to make a living. If anyone dares to cause trouble for no reason, I will be the first to stop him. Of course we won't be afraid as long as you are here. But don't forget, you will be working under Mr. Liang in the new year. From now on, Lu Yanning and I will be the teacher's assistants. Do you think others will still be afraid of us? Chu Xia patted Wang Jing on the shoulder. Senior sister, have you forgotten which Song is the teacher's surname? Do you really think that the teacher's achievements today are all due to bad luck? Hearing what Chu Xia said, Song Xiao laughed. I have been a doctor for 3 generations of the Song family. If someone really dares to operate on me for no reason, give it a try. Chu Xia gave a thumbs-up smile and said, Teacher, these words are domineering, I like to hear them. Hey, Song Xiao sighed, don't worry about our affairs. The key is you. Mr. Liang is not easy to deal with. During this period, you can't relax. It's important to study more. Teacher, I know. Now after class every day, I go to my old teacher's place to do practical exercises for an hour before coming back to us. If I have to go to the operating table for another minor surgery, I will definitely do it better than last time. Even better. Mr. Yuan said, what I lack now is experience in disease, but this cannot be like business practice. Talent is important, but accumulation is also very important. Besides, if Mrs. Liang is difficult to maintain and unreasonable, I can apply for transfer. It doesn't mean that I have to be tied up with him. Why should I make it difficult for myself? That's right. Song Xiao glanced at the time and said, let's go to Director Yu's office together. It's her second day at work. I'll accompany you two there to say hello. Director Yu was newly transferred and took over Huang Baoquan's position. Jiao Maikan and Li Qing are now her assistants. Director Yu is a woman in her 30s, with short ear-length hair, a somewhat pale complexion, and sharp eyes when looking at people. Song Xiao was the first to say hello, Director Yu, let's come over to handle the handover. These are my 2 assistants, Wang Jing and Lin Chuxia. Hello, Director Yu. Chu Xia and Wang Jing greeted each other in unison. Director Yu's eyes lightly passed over the 2 people's faces, and a smile appeared on the corner of his lips. Hello. Then he looked at Song Xiao, Sister Song, and I don't have to be so polite. I have admired you for a long time. It's an honor to work with you. Song Xiao smiled and waved her hands. Don't say that, I'm just a few years older than you. Otherwise, there's really nothing better than you. Over there, Jiao Maikan and Li Qing had already handed the record book to Wang Jing and transferred it to Director Yu. Their personalities were much duller than before, especially Jiao Maiken, who had completely lost her previous vitality. After the handover was completed, Director Yu looked at Song Xiao. Sister Song, I have a few words to say to Lin Chuxia. It will take about 5 minutes. Do you think it's okay? Okay, Song Xiao nodded with a smile and led Wang Jing away. Director Yu looked at Jiao Maiken and Li Qing. You two should get off work. Yes, in response, the two picked up their bags and quickly exited. Director Yu, what do you want from me? Chu Xia asked proactively when there were only 2 people left in the room. I just want to ask you about Yu Tao. Director Yu sighed. I am Yu Tao's aunt. At this point, she paused. Chu Xia didn't say anything. She had never heard Yu Tao mention it. Director Yu, and now Director Yu is so eager to ask her about Yu Tao, I believe there must be something hidden in it. As an outsider, she will not rush to express her position. Well, Yu Tao never mentioned me to you. My name is Yu Yang. Chu Xia shook her head. No. Hey, Yu Yang sighed. How is she doing at Zhou's house now? Fine. I heard she's pregnant, right? Yes. Is everything normal after pregnancy? Normal. Does she go back to her parents' house often? Yes. Okay, thank you. Yu Yang smiled at Chu Xia. I took the liberty. If anything happens, we can talk about it later. You go and do your business. Okay, Chu Xia responded happily, turned around and left. Yu Yang stared at her back and disappeared for a long time, shaking his head mockingly. She thought that the other party would chase her and ask what happened, so she needed to ask her about this. Unfortunately, the little girl looked at her age. He's not big, but he's very sophisticated when it comes to handling things, and doesn't follow her rules at all. In fact, she didn't have any bad intentions, she just wanted to know if Tao Zi was doing well. Chu Xia returned to the office and took the initiative to tell Song Xiao about Yu Yang's strange behavior. Song Xiao looked at her funny. Aren't you curious why she asked you these questions? What are you curious about? Chu Xia shrugged. She is my sister-in-law's aunt, but she doesn't know all her life trajectories. That means she hasn't been back home for a long time. Otherwise, these things will not affect anything in the family. Anyone could tell her. On the second day after I came to work, she grabbed me and asked me about my sister-in-law, which showed that she was particularly concerned about her current situation. From this, it was basically certain that she had done something sorry for her sister-in-law and felt guilty. Otherwise, do you have to be in such a hurry? Considering her age, I boldly guessed that either she and her sister-in-law fell in love with the same man, or she did something inappropriate in her sister-in-law's marriage. Although it is a bit bloody, I think my guess is correct. Not far from 10. After a long silence, Song Xiao said, it's a pity that you're a doctor. I think I'll send you to the detective team. It seems that the teacher knows the details. Can you clarify my doubts for me? No, Song Xiao shook her head. You should ask Yu Tao yourself about this matter. If she is willing to tell you, she will tell you naturally. If she is unwilling to tell, don't ask her. Chu Xia quickly shook her head. Then forget it. Although I am curious, I can't joke about my sister-in-law's body. She is pregnant now. I don't want anything to happen to me. This sin is too serious. Song Xiao said, if you don't ask her, ask your commander Zhou. He should also know about this. Anyway, it's not my turn as an outsider to make irresponsible remarks. I am not a difficult teacher. Although I am a bit curious, I am still quite knowledgeable, Chu Xia said and looked at Wang Jing, who was staring at her with a gossipy face. Senior sister, wipe your tongue. Wang Jing took a sip reflexively, then realized that she had been fooled by Chu Xia. She was so angry that she slapped her on the shoulder. You know how to bully me. On this day, except for the small incident in the morning, Chu Xia had a very peaceful life. During lunch, Wu Jingbo told her that Yamiru went to report and was kicked out by Jingzhe. After that, she never showed up again. She didn't know if she had given up. Okay, I'm still thinking of other ways. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 581. When I was walking out from Get Off Work, I happened to meet Luo Xiaoxiang. Chu Xia stopped in her tracks and said, "Do you have any news to tell me while you are waiting here?" No. Luo Xiaoxiang shook her head, "I'm not an intelligence agent. There are so many gossips all day long. I just want to tell you that my parents are here today. Uncle Gangshun and Aunt Fat are here." Chu Xia's eyes widened in shock. Why was there no news at all before? Where are they now? The new year is going to be spent here, right? Yes, they came here just to celebrate the new year with us. Of course, they mainly want to celebrate the new year with my future sister-in-law. Luo Xiaoxiang shrugged, "My brother is not married yet, and I no longer have a place in their hearts. When I marry my sister-in-law home, I will probably really have to step aside." Nonsense, Chu Xia glared at her, "Uncle Gangshun and Fat Aunt are not like that. Your future sister-in-law hasn't married into the Luo family yet. They have no idea. Of course they have to treat Ernie better. Such jealousy you eat too, it's shameless." "You haven't answered me where they are yet, tell me quickly." "Where else can it be? Of course it's the army guest house. Don't go back and discuss letting us go to the Zhou family to celebrate the new year. My parents won't accept it. Although we were staying in a guest house, my brother helped run it anyway. My parents felt a sense of belonging there, and when the time came for the few of us to go there, once the door was closed, it was not much different from celebrating the new year at home. If we go to Zhou's house and you and the whole family make a fuss, then my parents might remember the excitement of celebrating the new year at home, so I say, you just don't worry about them. You are thinking too much." Chu Xia patted Luo Xiaoxiang on the shoulder, "I have no intention of letting Uncle Gangshun and Fat Aunt go to Zhou's house to celebrate the new year. It's not like I don't know what kind of character they are, so how can I let them go to those who don't comfortable? If it weren't for the fact that the Zhou family would all move from their old home to their ancestral home. I guess my father and mother can't go to Zhou's house to celebrate the new year. After all, they are very important to Jenner. I asked you where they are because I want to take my parents there to see them after dinner. They haven't seen each other for such a long time and they must have a lot to say." "Chu Xia, you are becoming more and more considerate." Luo Xiaoxiang gave her a thumbs up, "I thought you would ask my parents to go to Zhou's house for dinner together." "Am I that stupid?" Chu Xia rolled her eyes helplessly. "With the current conditions of your family, Uncle Gangshun and Fat Aunt are not short of food and clothing. If they are allowed to go to Zhou's house, they will definitely feel uncomfortable. How can they be as comfortable as eating with you? Besides, I am the granddaughter-in-law of the Zhou family, and now the whole family is gathered together. Even if I want to invite your parents to dinner, I have to tell Zhou Mikang first." "Tch," Luo Xiaoxiang stabbed her. "The leader is so kind to you. Even if you don't tell him, he will definitely follow your lead. Why are you pretending to be in front of me? It's one thing for him to follow me. It's another thing for me to ask for advice. Even as a couple, we must learn to respect each other. Otherwise, it will last forever. He will always have troubles. Xiaoxiang, although you are my future sister-in-law, I also want to tell you a few words. Don't take everything for granted. As time goes by, there will be times when you are tired and there are times when you find fault. If you want a long-lasting relationship, you must learn to be tolerant. As for me, I am learning this issue now. I may not be doing a very good job, but I already know the importance of this matter. Of course, I am not saying this because I don't want to invite Uncle Gangshun and Fat Aunt to have dinner at home. I have just mentioned the specific reasons, and that is what I really think. I know, I've known you for so long, how can I not know what you think? Luo Xiaoqiang snorted dissatisfied. Come on, come find us early after dinner. I know. Chu Xia waved her hands and ran out. Zhou Mikang's car had already stopped at the entrance of the courtyard. She ran over and jumped into the car. Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang and grinned. You've been waiting for a long time. No, I just came here for a while. Zhou Mikang started the car and drove out. I don't feel comfortable with being so polite all of a sudden. Have you done something to feel sorry for me? TCH, Chu Xia rolled her eyes. You are really a bitch. Even if you have a good attitude, you still feel uncomfortable. By the way, why didn't the chief come to settle the score with you? No. There's no trouble at all. No, my work is normal today. Why is this? Chu Xia frowned and thought, you broke his granddaughter's legs, and he could remain silent. This is unscientific, so unscientific. I feel the same way as you, but I can't just go up to him and ask him why he didn't settle the score with me, right? Tell me, if I really did that, how much more would it cost? After thinking about it, Chu Xia nodded. That's right, then don't worry, they are standing still, and we are standing still. Maybe the leader will feel a little embarrassed and let you go on purpose, haha. Zhou Mikang glanced at her and warned, you're smiling a little too wildly, please pay attention to your image. Okay, pay attention to your appearance. Chu Xia rubbed her cheeks and changed the topic. Uncle Gangshun and Fat Ant are here. They are celebrating the new year here. They are staying in the guest house now. Really? Zhou Mikang looked her over. Do you want them to come to our house to celebrate the new year? No, they want to reunite as a family. I also think it's better for them to celebrate the new year on their own. When they come to the Zhou family, they can only play supporting roles. Even in the guest house, they are the protagonists. That's what I said. Zhou Mikang shook his head and couldn't help but laugh. When you think about it, it makes sense. If you have any requests, just put them forward and I will do my best to help you achieve them. Chu Xia wiped her forehead speechlessly. It doesn't have to be so serious. I just want you to accompany my parents to visit Uncle Gangshun and Aunt Fat after dinner. Of course it's no problem. Zhou Mikang nodded, and the car sped up a bit. Let's go buy some New Year's goods now. I'm afraid it's too late for them to buy them now. It's almost time. Where are you going to buy New Year's goods? Have you forgotten where Uncle San works? That's right. Chu Xia smiled sheepishly. I've been a little confused since I came here. How could I have forgotten that my third uncle is the head of the supply and marketing building? Zhou Mikang smiled and shook his head without saying a word. Captain Zhou, Chu Xia. You are here. As soon as the two entered the door, Qin Mei greeted them with a smile. Compared to before, she was quite fat and her belly was slightly bulging. She had heard Zhou Shanping tell her about her pregnancy before, so Chu Xia smiled and said, Sister Qin, congratulations. Zhou Mikang also followed closely and said congratulations. Qin Mei's face turned slightly red. Don't be so polite to me. You saved my life, and you gave me my happiness. Originally, I wanted to go to you to report my good news. But again I feel like it's a bit of a fuss, so I'm thinking of inviting you to have a meal together after the baby is born. Uncle San has told us a long time ago. Chu Xia smiled and held her hand, looking at Sister Qin. Your relationship with your brother-in-law is very good, right? It's okay, he's very nice to me. Qin Mei shook her body a little. Anyway, people say that you can become an official only after you are a daughter, but I think you can become an official only after you become a daughter-in-law. I don't have to worry about my parents' family anymore. I still have to be disliked, but now I finally don't have to be disliked and I don't have to worry about the Chinese New Year. Regarding the Qin family's family affairs, Chu Xia couldn't say anything, so she just smiled and said nothing. Zhou Mikang has already made a list. Passed it to Qin Mei. give us a set like this. Okay, Chin Mei asked a few people on the night shift to help sort out the New Year's goods on the list. It was already 20 minutes later when all the goods were ready and loaded into the car. Driving home, Chu Xia couldn't help but sigh. It seems that a happy marriage can really change a person. There is really no connection between Chin Mei's appearance now and her past. Do you mean you are happy or unhappy? What do you think? I don't have the right to answer this question. The key depends on what you think. Zhou Mikang reached out and touched her head. Tell me the truth. I prefer to hear the truth. Chu Xia nodded seriously. Okay, I'm not pretentious, I feel like I'm running on the road to happiness. Ha ha ha. Zhou Mikang smiled happily. I like this answer. I hope you will still say this in 10, 20, 30 years until we are gray-haired. At that time, we can no longer run, so we have to change. We are stumbling on the road to happiness. You. Zhou Mikang poked her head and smiled even more happily. This answer obviously told him that she had made up her mind to live with him for the rest of her life. What a happy thing it was. By the way, there's something I want to ask you. I also want to hear the truth. If it's convenient for you to tell me, just tell me. If it's not convenient for you to tell me, just say it's not convenient for you to tell me. Okay. Okay. Chu Xia was stunned by the cheerful answer of the group leader Tongzi, and couldn't help but curl her lips. Your thinking is really different from others. Generally speaking, when I say this, you should answer like this: what on earth happened? It's mysterious, tell me quickly, I will definitely tell you as soon as I know. Your thinking is different from others, so we can get along. Let's talk. Everyone said this, so Chu Xia didn't want to make any more trouble, so she said, Yu Tao's Aunt Yu Yang has been transferred to our hospital. She specifically asked me a series of questions today about whether Yu Tao is okay. So, what should I ask? You already know, right? You didn't ask her. Nonsense. I'm not stupid, why should I ask her? Moreover, if I have already asked her, do I need to ask you again? Chu Xia glared at him dissatisfied. I just said it, just say it if you can. If you can't say it, just say it, don't give me these ambiguities. The most annoying thing is this way of answering. Zhou Mikang laughed and said, you are very angry. Do you have anything else to do today? Let's talk about this first, and we'll talk about the other things later. Okay, let's talk about this first. Zhou Mixang shook his head helplessly. Can you not be so impatient? In fact, the matter between Yu Tao and Yu Yang is not complicated. The eldest brother and Yu Tao were in a free relationship. When they went to Yu's house, Yu Yang fell in love with the eldest brother at first sight. Then, he rode to the eldest brother behind his sister-in-law's back. Unexpectedly, his sister-in-law discovered it. You can also tell the sister-in-law's temper. She is very tolerant, so even though she found out, she didn't ask anything, but quietly gave the letter to her elder brother and put it back. The eldest brother was thinking that if he didn't reply to Yu Yang's letter, the other party would give up the idea. He didn't tell his sister-in-law about this, so as not to affect the relationship between his aunt and nephew. Who would have thought? Yu Yang didn't receive a reply from his eldest brother, so he thought he didn't receive her letter. He actually secretly found the army where his eldest brother was and asked him what he thought. The eldest brother told her clearly that he liked his eldest sister-in-law and asked Yu Yang to stop causing trouble. Coincidentally, when the two of them were talking, others passing by heard it and spread the word. Later, it naturally reached the ears of my eldest sister-in-law. She still didn't say anything. It was my eldest brother who told her personally. And he took out the letter and showed it to his sister-in-law. The eldest sister-in-law cried at that time. She said that she had already seen the letter and was just waiting for the eldest brother to make a decision. After that, the eldest brother and the eldest sister-in-law got engaged and began to prepare for the wedding. Either because of his youth, or because of his personality. Anyway, Yu Yang is in front of everyone in the Yu family. She openly admits that she also likes her eldest brother and wants to compete fairly with her eldest sister-in-law. After saying such words, you can guess the result. The Yu parents kicked her out of the Yu family. Having drawn a clear line, it seems that she has never been forgiven by her family over the years. Now she comes to you to ask about your sister-in-law. Most likely, he has figured out what happened back then and wants to return home. It feels uncomfortable to spend the new year alone outside. This is understandable. Sure enough, what I guessed is right. Chu Xia sighed, my aunt and nephew are fighting for a man, tisk tisk. Zhou Mikang interrupted her, tisk, 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 Yu Yang is only 2 years older than Yu Tao. You should be anxious with your niece when you are 2 years older. Chu Xia snorted coldly and changed the subject. By the way, Yamiru asked to be transferred to Jingzhe as an assistant today, but Jingzhe seemed to refuse. Do you know about this? I don't know. Zhou Mikang shook his head, but with her character, it's not surprising that she would do such a thing. I admire her face so much. Huang Baoquan forced her to be transferred to another hospital the day after the operation, but she still managed to come back. Tisk tisk, Zhou Mikang, why did you get engaged to such a person back then? It brings me down so much. I'm sorry, this is in the past, I can't change it, so you can only accept it. Hearing what he said, Chu Xia laughed, for the sake of your more upright attitude, I won't argue with you. When Zhao Yulan and Lin Baohe heard from their daughter that Luo Gangshun and Fatty Ant had also come to City A and would celebrate the new year here, their hearts immediately began to lift, and they could not feel tired throughout the meal. Seeing Mrs. Zhou and Mr. Zhou laughing, as soon as dinner was over, she told Chu Xia and Zhou Mikang to send the couple to meet their old friends quickly. If you don't hurry up, Baohe and Magnolia's tails will grow out, Mrs. Zhou said with a smile. Lin Baohe and Zhao Yulan smiled sheepishly. They also wanted to control their emotions, but they couldn't control the joy of meeting an old friend in a foreign country. When the group arrived at the guest house, Fat Ant, Luo Gangshun, and others had just finished eating. After not seeing each other for several months, they all burst into tears when they first met. Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxian shook their heads. In order to give the elders a space to talk, the younger generation simply went out for a walk. By the way, why didn't your brother come over? Chu Xia asked Luo Xiaoxian. He has training in the evening, and he has to wait until the training is over before he can come over. Zhang Erniu is shy and won't come if he asks her to come over. He has to wait for my brother to invite him himself. Your brother is becoming more and more serious now. Chu Xia couldn't help but sigh. I never thought that someone as stupid as your brother could become like this. Erniu is infinitely charming. Haha. Luo Xiaoxian laughed. You should say this in front of Zhang Erniu. She is always very unsure of herself. No matter what I say, she thinks I am saying nice things to comfort her. Children who have been neglected at home since childhood will probably be like that. By the way, in early summer, Zhong Hongying is also here, looking for Company Commander Lu to force him to marry her. Chu Xia was not surprised by this. She came with Uncle Gangshun and Fat Ant. My parents didn't come with her. She has been here for a long time, but I just found out when I came here today. You said she is really interesting. After returning home, she kept going on blind dates and even had sex with each other. As soon as he heard that Company Commander Lu was back, he came to her and asked her to marry her. Do you think her brain circuit is different from that of normal people? It makes us feel that she must be embarrassed to make such and such demands after doing so many unworthy things. Am I right? People's personalities are different, it seems. She and Yamiru are a bit like sisters, tell me. Could they be long-lost sisters? It's impossible. Luo Xiaoxian thought seriously. I remember my parents said that Zhong Hongying was the child of Aunt Zhong, and before giving birth to the child, Aunt Zhong never left the village, so Zhong Hongying there is no chance that Ying and Yamiru are biological sisters. Chu Xia smiled and shrugged her shoulders. I'm joking, do you still take it seriously? I hate it, Luo Xiaoxian pushed her. You said it so seriously, so of course I believed it. You just love to bully me. Okay, let's talk about CAO. CAO is here. Isn't that Zhong Hongying in front of you? Chu Xia nodded her chin at the oncoming woman. It's a pity that your brother is not here. I really want to see her expression when she sees your brother. I think so too, huh? Didn't she look down on my brother before? Maybe now that she knows that my brother has been promoted to squad leader, she will definitely be tempted. You think too much. The company commander is much older than the squad leader. So, she probably only has company commander Lu in her heart now. When your brother becomes company commander Lu, she will probably look at him, of course. Prerequisite is it company commander Lu or company commander? Chu Xia, I discovered it. You definitely don't use curse words, but you are so cruel. Luo Xiaoxian smacked her lips. I want to learn from you in the future. While talking, Zhong Hongying had already arrived in front of them, smiled politely at them as a greeting, and then walked back. When she arrived in front of Zhou Mikang and Zhao Qiliang, she stopped and greeted them respectfully. Tuan look good, Monitor Zhao. Zhou Mikang didn't even look at her and walked straight ahead. Zhao Qiliang hesitated for a moment, then jogged 2 steps to catch up with Zhou Mikang. Zhong Hongying was stunned for a while, shook her head and smiled, and returned to the police station. For the sake of happiness, she could endure being left out and laughed at. She believed that as long as she endured it, she would definitely get her wish. The few people continued to move forward and saw Company Commander Lu squatting in the corner of the playground. He was not tall to begin with, but he had lost a lot of weight after going on a mission. He looked so pitiful squatting there. Lu Company Commander, are you squatting here to drink the northwest wind? Lu Company Commander had gone to see Dean Su several times. Luo Xiaoxian's relationship with him could not be said to be very familiar, but they were not strangers either, and they spoke more casually. Are you all here? Company Commander Lu stood up and smiled at several people. Did you meet Zhong Hongying just now? Unexpectedly, he was so frank, Luo Xiaoxian was stuck, and Chu Xia quickly answered, yes, we met her. You are from the same village as her. I want to ask, was she like this when she was in the village? Lu Lian stretched out his hand and gestured. She just has the courage to not hit the wall and not look back. She was like this before. This. After a brief pause, Chu Xia said, to be honest, when we were in the village, there was no way to compare with her. She was a good girl who was hardworking and capable in everyone's eyes, unlike us. Both of them are famous for being lazy. What is this answer? Company Commander Lu stood there wondering for a long time, then smiled bitterly. I used to regard these as the advantages of being proactive, but now, I feel like she is forcing me to hang myself. How can she be so persistent? Didn't you say you had figured it out last time? Zhou Mikang glared at him. Ching ching, is this how you figured it out? Huh, he had been immersed in his own thoughts. In addition, the lights were not bright enough and Zhou Mikang was standing under the basketball hoop. Company Commander Lu did not recognize Zhou Mikang at all. When the other party spoke, he realized who he was complaining to. Stood up straight and said, report to the leader, I have figured it out. You figured it out and you're still squatting here to make yourself look embarrassed. Company Commander Lu was stuck there, not knowing what to say. What are you doing? Zhou Mikang snorted coldly. Think about what to do and resolve it as soon as possible. The longer you delay, the more you will be wronged. Do you understand? I understand, Company Commander Lu nodded quickly. I will resolve this matter as soon as possible, but Captain, I told her that I don't like her personality and don't want to marry her. She insisted that I agreed before. She wants to marry her as soon as I come back, saying that I am now Chen Shimei who has changed her heart. She also said that if I dare to go back on my word, she will complain to you. If you don't handle it, she will go to Commander Su. If Master Su doesn't handle it, she will go up to Commander Joe. Joe Mikang interrupted him. She still wants to find Commander Joe. Okay, let her go find it if she has the ability. I would like to see what she can find in the end. First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 582. Captain, the problem now is that the Chinese New Year is tomorrow, and she can't go back to her hometown even if she wants to. After all, I had a relationship with her, so it doesn't seem right to just leave her like this. I'm afraid of her to spend the Chinese New Year with her. Misunderstanding. Look, can you help arrange this matter? After Lu Lianbao asked, seeing Zhou Mixang frowning, he quickly said, Captain, I just feel sorry for her here. I feel sorry for her. There is really no emotion anymore. You don't have to explain this to me. Zhou Mixang looked at him indifferently. If you ask, I can help you arrange it, but you have to know that as long as you show a trace of pity, she will never let you go. Lu Lianbao hesitated and didn't know what to do. Do you really have no feelings for her anymore, or is it because of other reasons? Luo Xiaoqiang's question made Lu Lianbao even more confused. After close contact, he wanted to stay away from Zhong Hongying because of her controlling nature and strong personality. He also really felt that she was too snobbish and not a good candidate for his wife. However, seeing her sad, I feel so unbearable. Seeing Lu Lianbao's wavering, Chu Xia asked in a different way, how would you feel if Zhong Hongying had a new boyfriend now and was getting married? Lu Lianbao frowned even more, and after a while, he said, if I knew that she now has a boyfriend and is getting married, I would be even more disappointed in her. I feel that my decision is very correct. Chu Xia sighed. After all, you decided to break up with her because you had no confidence in her, right? It seems, a little bit. Zhou Mikang kicked him angrily. A grown man hesitates when he speaks. Are you my soldier? Now you have to figure it out for me quickly. Do you still want to be good with her? Do you want to marry her? Besides, you don't want to be affected by other people's impressions of her. Sometimes different starting angles will naturally lead to different results. Furthermore, judging from Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoqiang's description of her, she is indeed a snobbish girl, but being snobbish does not mean that she will be unfaithful to her marriage or her husband once she gets married. You just need to think carefully about whether you can accept it if she talks about you when you are not as good as others, and if there are people in your family who can't stand her eyes. Is it acceptable for her to treat you differently? Also, your attitude towards your family determines her attitude towards your family, but only if you satisfy her. If you dissatisfy her, this kind of person may ignore your dignity and make things that make you unhappy. Things come up that you don't like. You are going through these possibilities in your head now. If you think it's really okay, then you probably have to be with her. If you think you can't accept it, I advise you to just break it off. Don't let your mind wander all day long because of these nonsense, which will affect your official business. I can't tell, you are quite good at ideological work. Chu Xia looked at Zhou Mikang funnily. You sound very reasonable. You really look like a veteran in love. What if I weren't an experienced lover and could marry you? Chu Xia. She hunted geese all day long, but she didn't expect that no geese pecked her eyes. How could she have imagined that such a serious leader, Tongzi, would be so shameless in front of outsiders? Ha ha ha. Looking at the embarrassment in early summer, Luo Xiaoqiang laughed so hard that she couldn't straighten her waist. Zhao Qiliang didn't dare to be too presumptuous in front of Zhou Mixang, so he looked up at the sky and pretended to admire the scenery. However, the cloudy night was so dark that not even a single star could be seen. I really don't know what he is looking at. Lu Lianbao was completely immersed in his own thoughts just now. He didn't know what Zhou Mixang said. When he saw everyone laughing like this, he mistakenly thought they were laughing at him, so he explained in a choked voice, I just want to be careful. In order to avoid regret later, in fact, I am not usually such a mother-in-law. It's better to be careful. Think more and don't be in a hurry. Luo Xiaoxiang said, laughing again. Seeing Lu Lianbao's confused face, Zhou Mikang said, think it over again and send me a letter tomorrow. If you still want to be with her and want to test her again, I will arrange for her to go to the female soldier company to fight with her. Let's celebrate the new year together. If you really decide to break up with her, just leave her alone and let her go. Thank you, leader. Lu Lianbao put his feet together and saluted Zhou Mixang respectfully. Let's walk around again, you can do it yourself, Zhou Mikang said and took the lead to walk forward. Chu Xia and others quickly followed. Lu Lianbao hesitated and walked in the opposite direction. He was too confused at the moment and wanted to find someone. Stay alone in a deserted place. Returning to the guest house room again, Lin Baohe, Zhao Yulan and Fat Ant Luo Gangshun's emotions had calmed down. They noticed that the younger generation was looking at them without any trace, and they felt a little uncomfortable. As the representative of the four, Luo Gangshun pretended to cough. What's the red flag? You haven't come here yet, didn't you say that training will be finished at 9 o'clock? Luo Xiaoxiang said with a black line, Dad, it's only 8:30. 8:30, Luo Gangshun glanced at his watch and patted his forehead in sudden realization, at this age, why are you so dazzled? You thought it was already 9:30. Hey, Baohe, Yulan, your eyesight is still good now. Bar. Lin Baohe quickly answered, it's not bad, sometimes it gets rough. Okay, what are you spending for? The fat ant looked at the two of them dissatisfied, you are deliberately making the children uneasy. At this age, both of them are dazzled. If you stay for a few more years, you will still be dazzled. Can't even walk. We haven't seen each other for so many days, what's the shame in getting a little excited? Then he looked at Chu Xia and Luo Xiaoxiang, let's just talk about you two. If we don't see each other for 2 or 3 months, we will definitely be embarrassed when we do. Hold your head and cry, right? Yes. Yes. Yes, Luo Xiaoxiang nodded repeatedly, Mom is right, this is not a shameful thing. If Chu Xia and I hadn't seen each other for so long, I would have cried so hard that I couldn't breathe. Chu Xia quickly clarified herself, don't involve me too. I can only shed a few tears so that I won't be out of breath from crying. I'm not a 5 or 6-year-old child. Isn't this an exaggeration? Luo Xiaoxiang looked disapproving, what kind of face do you want in front of your parents? Or is it because the head of the group is here? These two kids. The fat ant smiled helplessly, I'm just bickering with you, and we're still like this now. Xiaoxiang, she's already married in early summer, so don't always push against her. Don't say she is married, even if she is a mother or a grandmother, I still support her, Luo Xiaoxiang said, hugging Chu Xia's neck, and in my heart, she and I are the closest. Captain Zhou, we both grew up wearing crotchless pants together, and you didn't know where you were at that time, so you must line up behind me. Zhou Mikang nodded, okay, I'll be in line behind you. The group leader was so talkative, but Luo Xiaoxiang didn't know what to say. She was stunned for a moment, then laughed, forget it, I'll just wait in line behind you. Chu Xia's heart has long been with you. I'm not being sentimental. The fat ant looked at Zhou Mixang with an embarrassed look on her face, Captain Zhou, my daughter is so shameless. Don't take it to heart. No, She has a good personality. I feel relieved to have her by Chusea's side. Luo Gangshun continued, Captain Zhou, you have taken such good care of these children. We are grateful from the bottom of our hearts. However, we are all a family, so we will not use polite words. Anyway, you understand our feelings of. Uncle Luo, if you talk to me so politely again, I really won't understand. Zhou Mixang smiled and looked at Lin Baohe. Dad, don't you think so? Yes, yes. Lin Baohe looked at Luo Gangshun with a happy face. If you marry Xiaomi in Chuxia, then Xiaomi is half of my son. We get along like brothers, and Chuxia also eats from your family. You, just think of Xiaomi as half of your son. Since he is your own son, how can you be so polite? From now on, we should be more careful in public and be more comfortable in private. Only in this way can we appear close and like a family, don't you think? Baohe, if you can say that, I feel relieved. Luo Gangshun breathed a long sigh of relief. To tell you the truth, Cha Xiang and I have been worried about you two staying here, but now, I am not a little worried. Worries are gone. If you hadn't really gotten along well with your son-in-law and with his family, you wouldn't have been able to say such a thing. You and Yulan have finally come to the end of their hardships. Good brother, if you can't do it tomorrow night, you have to celebrate the new year at Zhou's house. The day after tomorrow, we brothers are going to have a good drink. The day after tomorrow, Uncle Luo and Aunt Fat will go to our house for dinner. The day after tomorrow, my father-in-law and I will drink with you then. Luo Gangshun looked at Lin Baohe hesitantly, and Lin Baohe nodded happily. This kid is telling the truth. I'm afraid we two brothers won't be happy drinking in this guest house. Let's go to the in-laws' house. Uncle Wan is also celebrating the new year with the Zhou family. No matter what should I say, since you are here, you should also go and wish him a happy new year, right? Okay, I'll listen to you, Luo Gangshun said and took a long breath. Why am I a little nervous now? The fat ant was so angry that she slapped him in the face. Look at your potential. Dad, Mom, I'm here. Captain, are you there too? Luo Hunky walked in, followed by a shy Zhang Erniu. Although her relationship with Luo Hunky had been confirmed, she had already seen the future in-laws, but when we met again after a few months, she was still very nervous, and her lips were obviously trembling when she greeted everyone. Erniu, come here and show Auntie. I haven't seen you for several months. Auntie really misses you, Fat Auntie said as she waved to Zhang Erniu. You said you kid, why are you so shy? Xiao Xiao. If Joan were half as shy as you, she would look like a girl. Mom, I've always been a kid in your heart. Luo Xiaoxian looked at the fat ant with a speechless face. In order to please her daughter-in-law, she used her as the bottom. Is she her biological mother? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. First marriage then love, Mr. Mayor please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan Nuan. Chapter 583. In my mother's heart, you are not a boy, you are more naughty than a boy. The fat ant glared at her daughter. Mom is not happy if you say something to me. I won't let you talk about it before you become a high official. If you really want to be a high official in the future, if you hold a high-level official position, will you no longer recognize your mother? Mom, what did you say? Luo Xiaoxian looked at her mother speechlessly. I don't know, you thought I picked it up. Okay, you think I'm not girly enough, then have you thought about yourself? Look at Aunt Yulan, and then look at yourself. Do you think you look like a woman? Maying, too angry, the fat ant called out her daughter's previous name, and Luo Xiaoxian was even more unhappy. Mom, how many times have I said, my name is Luo Xiaoxian? Yes, you have been making your own decisions since you were a child, and you don't think it's good to give you a name. From now on, Probably nothing your father and I will do will impress you. Gang Shun, what do you think we are doing here? This little girl Seong probably dislikes us for coming here to embarrass her. No, I'll buy a train ticket later and go home to celebrate the new year. Looking at the face of the fat aunt and seeing that she didn't look fake, Luo Zioxian panicked and quickly took her mother's hand. Mom, I was wrong. In fact, I was just jealous of my sister-in-law. I felt that after having a sister-in-law, you and I would be together. Dad doesn't care about me anymore. Mom, I'm worthless. Don't be the same as me. I promise, if you favor my sister-in-law again in the future, I will never look for trouble, okay? Huh, the fat aunt snorted and ignored her. Seeing the conflict between her mother-in-law and her sister-in-law, Zhang Erniu became even more nervous. She stood in front of her future mother-in-law and sister-in-law tremblingly. Aunt, Zioxian, don't be angry. It's all my fault. If you want to scold me, just scold me. Why should I scold you? Luo Zioxian looked sideways at fat aunt. My mother now holds you in her mouth for fear of melting, and claps her in her hands for fear of falling. If I dare to scold you, do you believe she can kick me out of Luo's house? Zhang Erniu muttered, not knowing what to say, so she looked at Chu Xia for help. Fat aunt, Zioxian, please stop bullying Erniu into being honest. Aren't you making such a fuss in front of her to make her stand down? If I were the second girl, I wouldn't dare to marry, so this is nothing. It's already a mess. If you really get married, what else will you do? Auntie, I love you so much. The fat aunt glared at Chuxia and quickly pulled Zhang Erniu to sit next to her. This child has a kind heart. Mei Ying likes to quarrel with me when she is at home. This can be regarded as our mother. You will know how to express intimacy between two people after you get used to it. Mei Ying now says she is jealous of you. She was teasing you on purpose. She was teasing you because she saw you were shy and nervous, and you really didn't stand up to the teasing. Just believe it, it's true. Luo Zioxian stepped forward with a smile. Erniu, he, were you both flustered and happy just now? No. It would be weird if I didn't. My mother-in-law is so protective, how can I not be happy? Luo Zioxian squeezed in and sat down next to her. He said, I'm not completely teasing you. I just feel uncomfortable that my mother deliberately picked on me to please you. As for my mother, when she said that I was teasing you, she was only trying to help you step down. From this point, we can see how satisfied she is with you as her daughter-in-law. So, can you agree to celebrate the new year with us tomorrow? Zioxian, Zhang Erniu wanted to explain, but didn't know where to start, and her face turned red with anxiety. I know what kind of character you are. Even if you marry my brother, you will not reject me, let alone be jealous because my parents love me. If I hadn't seen this clearly, I wouldn't have been able to do it. You and my brother are together, idiot. Do you think I'm really jealous of you? I'm angry because my mother doesn't value me. After not seeing me for so long, she still only picks out my shortcomings and doesn't see my advantages at all. Chu Xia interrupted her helplessly. Okay, don't explain. I feel like the more you talk about Erniu, the more confused you become. You say you're not jealous of her, but you also say your mother doesn't value you, and you feel uncomfortable. Isn't this jealousy? Zioxian, it's not shameful to be jealous. Let's just admit it openly. In the past, at home, you were held in the hands of Uncle Gang Shun and Aunt Fat and it hurt. Now that you have a sister-in-law, part of the love has been taken away. I have some thoughts in my heart. Is normal. Erniu, you don't have to think that it's because of your arrival that Zioxian has crazy thoughts. Even without you, there will be other girls as her sister-in-law. To put it bluntly, she was loved too much, and now she is deliberately being pretentious in front of Uncle Gang Shun and Fat Aunt. Don't pay attention to her. She will figure it out in a few days. Asshole, are you my good friend? Luo Xiaoxian glared at Chu Xia hatefully. You actually said that to me, disgusting. It's because I'm your good friend that I say this to you. If I weren't your good friend, I wouldn't get involved in anything. Chu Xia glanced at the time and said, Dad, Mom, it's getting late, let's go back. Anyway, we can meet again the day after tomorrow, not at this time, right? Okay. Zhao Yulan stood up and said, you guys should take a rest early after chatting for a while. Tomorrow is the new year, and there are still many things to be busy with. We bought some New Year's goods when we came here. Zhou Mikang looked at the juniors of the Luo family. You guys can come out and help carry them in. Luo Gangshun quickly refused. No, 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 we can just buy less tomorrow. Uncle Luo, we bought everything. If you don't accept it, it will be wasted. Just thinking that you will have no place to buy tomorrow. Chu Xia and I just brought you some essential things for the new year tonight. Hunky and Xiaoxianti, please come in. Zhen went out to pick it up. Seeing Zhou Mikang carrying packages from the trunk and piling up a pile of them, Luo Gangshun and Fat Ant were even more at a loss. How could these be necessary things? They're celebrating the new year at home, so they can't make such complete preparations. Okay. Accepted, the child's wishes. At this time, it was Lin Baohe's turn to speak. His daughter and son-in-law thought so thoughtfully, which made him feel particularly at ease. After the group of people left, Zhang Erniu looked surprised at the pile of small piles piled in the center of the house. It was the first time that she had prepared so many goods for the new year when she had grown up. This made her even more nervous. Helpless, Luo Xiaoxian had no choice but to take her to the room next to her. Because she was going to stay in Sitia for the new year, when Luo Hunky booked a room, she also booked the room next to her, so that the whole family could stay here at night. Erniu, what are you so nervous about? After hesitating, Zhang Erniu said, I don't think I'm worthy of your brother, Xiaoxian. What I said is true. Your family's conditions are much better than ours. I'm afraid that my father-mother will not be happy. I just received a letter from my parents this afternoon. They said in the letter that after the 6th day of the Lunar New Year, they would bring my baby to see me. I am really afraid that they will run into your uncle and aunt then. When I came here, my grandma told me to train hard and wait until I get a job and think about finding a partner when I get older. If she knew that I found a partner so early, she would definitely be angry with me. Xiaoxian, can you discuss it with your uncle and aunt? My parents are here. If we meet, please don't tell anything about your brother and me. I will tell you myself when I get more settled at work. Didn't you say that your parents have a very good relationship, treat you well, and love you? If they see that my brother is reliable, they won't object, right? After hesitation, Luo Xiaoxian said, second, girl, our relationship is different from others. You are both my sister-in-law and my comrade in arms, so I will definitely not only consider it from my family's perspective. To be honest, Chu Xia and I are worried about one thing, and that is whether Zhong Hongying will get entangled with my brother again if Company Commander Lu does not agree to marry her. At this moment, she hasn't stopped thinking about Company Commander Lu, and she doesn't know that my brother has been promoted to squad leader, so she must be uninterested in him. But if Company Commander Lu insists not to be with her, and she knows my brother's current situation, she will definitely turn around and look for my brother again. When I was in my hometown, my brother was obsessed with her. Later, she changed his mind first. However, after all, the relationship for many years was there, and I was afraid that my brother would be affected by her. Of course, I will definitely persuade my brother, and I will definitely not allow Zhong Hongying to become my sister-in-law. However, if the relationship between you and my brother is established earlier and my brother is confident, the trouble will definitely be less than this. Wouldn't you say? Zhang Erniu's face turned pale in panic. You said Zhong Hongying is here again? Has she not seen your brother yet? Probably not. She is now obsessed with wanting Company Commander Lu to marry her. She probably won't take the initiative to find my brother. In such a big place, the possibility of a chance encounter is too small. Erniu, we met Company Commander Lu when we were out for a walk tonight. Commander Zhou gave him one night to consider whether he should be with Zhong Hongying or not. The answer will be available tomorrow morning, so you understand why I am so anxious. Already. She is taller and better looking than me. If she seeks your brother will definitely choose her. Zhang Erniu sighed heavily. Xiaoxian, I have a different temper with you, and I also like your brother, but if your brother still likes Zhong Hongying, I won't pester him. My grandma said that if a man's heart is not with you, pestering is useless. I don't want to be such an annoying woman, and my grandma will disdainful. You can't say that. Chu Xia told me before that if two people have been together for a long time, they will definitely have feelings for each other. Even if my brother had a good relationship with Zhong Hongying before, but now that he is in such a foreign relationship with you, he will definitely have feelings for you. The relationship is deeper than the relationship with Zhong Hongying, so now, as long as you give my brother a little more confidence, he will definitely not be fooled by Zhong Hongying. Erniu, just think of it as a favor to me. You can't give up on my brother casually. Moreover, this matter is just our guess. Maybe by then my brother won't even look at Zhong Hongying, and he will be worried in his heart. It's just you. However, if that's the case, wouldn't it hurt my brother even more if you haven't settled down with my brother yet? First marriage then love. Mr. Mayor, please be kind. Author, Zhao Nuan. Chapter 584. Xiaoxian, do you really think that I am more important in your brother's heart than Zhong Hongying? Zhang Erniu looked at Luo Xiaoxian with some uncertainty. I am far worse in appearance than Zhong Hongying. Can he really think that I am better than Zhong Hongying? My brother is a die-hard man. If he has identified you, he must really like you. I told you before that my parents and Uncle Baohe and Aunt Yulan have thought about letting my brother and Chu Xia be together, but he didn't like Chu Xia, so he asked you to tell me, is it you or Chu Xia who looks better? Oh no, it should be said like this, is it Chu Xia who looks better or Zhong Hongying? Zhang Erniu said without thinking, of course Chu Xia is good looking. The leader of the group fell in love with Chu Xia all of a sudden. How can it not be good looking? Isn't this the end? Chu Xia is prettier than Zhong Hongying, but my brother didn't like it. It's not that his relationship with Zhong Hongying is so deep that it has to be someone else, but that he feels that he has already expressed his love to Zhong Hongying, so there is no way he can do it again. Like other girls. Now that he has agreed to be with you, it is naturally impossible for him to like other girls. However, Zhong Hongying is a master who will never give up until he achieves his goal. You and my brother are both simple and kind-hearted people. I'm afraid you'll fall into her trap. At this point Luo Xiaoxian couldn't help but sigh. Chu Xia told me that it's very difficult to mend a flaw in a relationship. It's obvious that you and my brother are already on the verge of achieving success. Is it worth having some unnecessary setbacks because of Zhong Hongying? If your parents and grandma really love you, they wouldn't be able to object indiscriminately, right? Well. After hesitating for a while, Zhang Erniu finally nodded. My parents and grandma are here. I will tell them about me and Hunky. The most important thing now is that you have to tell my brother later. You have identified him and don't allow him to have anything to do with other girls. Is that okay? Zhang Erniu scratched her head in embarrassment. Isn't this a bit unreasonable? He always wants to talk to other girls, like asking for directions to the doctor or something. Luo Xiaoxian said angrily, there is still a cafeteria to prepare food for. Zhang Erniu nodded repeatedly, yes, yes, yes. That's right. Luo Xiaoxian was so angry that she swore, can you live up to your expectations? How do you think you are worse than Zhong Hongying? She was fired when she joined the army. Have you been fired? She has been half-heartedly trying to climb high all day long. Son, are you pretending like this? Xiaoxian, don't be angry. Zhang Ernio looked at Luo Xiaoxian with a guilty look on her face. It's all my fault for not living up to expectations, making you so angry, and asking you to help me worry so much. Okay, okay. Luo Xiaoxian interrupted her. With a look of helplessness on his face, he said, character change does not happen overnight. I won't force you. Besides, let nature take its course for this kind of thing. Even though he is my brother, I must tell you responsibly. If it's so easy to be confused by Zhong Hongying, it's okay not to. Xiaoxian, I'm actually looking forward to being your sister-in-law. I know that if I marry into your family, I will never be bullied. Neither you nor my uncle and aunt will bully me. Let's see if I have this fate. He sighed. Zhang Ernio smiled sheepishly. I didn't know how to fight when I was little. If my breasts hadn't pushed me forward in many things, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. My grandma said that you can tell by looking at my palms that I have a good life and have always been helped by noble people. At first I thought she was just comforting me, but now that I think about it, it really is like that. Whether at home or here, there are noble people helping me along the way. Your personality. Luo Xiaoxian couldn't say anything. This was the first time she had seen such a kind and passive person. But to be selfish, if the other party didn't have such a personality, she probably wouldn't be so supportive of her being her sister-in-law. With such a sister-in-law, her parents will never be wronged in her life, and she will not feel like an outsider when she returns to her parents' home after getting married. When the car stopped, Chu Xia noticed a dark figure outside the gate of the Zhou family's ancestral home, and couldn't help but lean forward. Who is waiting for us? Yu Mingtao. Who? Chu Xia repeated without hearing clearly. Zhou Jiping's husband Yu Mingtao. Is he here now? Chu Xia curled her lips. It's taken so long to come, how can you really keep your composure? I know that the second sister needs care now. If it were me, I would have kicked him aside. How are you talking in Chu Xia? Zhao Yulan pulled her daughter. You are already a daughter-in-law, but you still have no control over what you say. Every family has sutras that are difficult to recite. You have never been to your second sister's house and you only looked at the surface. How do you think what you saw is right? Jiping is a smart kid. If she can endure it for so long, there must be a reason for her to endure it. Just don't add fuel to the fire, okay? Mom, I won't be affected by Chu Xia, don't worry. As he spoke, Zhou Mikang had already stopped the car, and Yu Mingtao also came to greet her. Have you figured it out? After getting off the car, Zhou Mikang looked at him and asked. Yu Mingtao looked at Zhou Mikang eagerly. Is Jiping okay? What do you think? Yu Mingtao lowered his head. She has suffered too many grievances when she married into this family. It's all my fault for failing to protect her. Third child, tell me the truth. Do you want me to continue to be with her, or do you think I should leave? What do you mean? Zhou Mikang was so angry that he punched his chest with his fist. Yu Mingtao stooped and took 2 steps back, leaning against the wall before he regained his balance. I love her, so I don't want her to continue to suffer. Are you still a man? Zhou Mikang stepped forward and grabbed his collar. You don't know what kind of feelings my sister has for you? Now you come to ask me if it's appropriate to be with her. What are you doing now? Went there? Huh? Do you want to withdraw when she is badly injured and needs your care and protection? Have you ever thought about how she would feel when she heard the news? Do you want her to be happy or do you want her to die? Yu Mingtao murmured and was speechless. Yes, at this time, before her body had recovered, his leaving would be like adding insult to injury to her. However, if she didn't leave, what else would he bring to her besides hurt and pain? This year, he wanted to come to Joe's house to live, but his grandmother and his mother both threatened their lives. If someone died because of his leaving, he and Joe Jipping would live with guilt for the rest of their lives. What would Joe Jipping do if she didn't come to Joe's house? It was precisely because he couldn't find a perfect way that he thought about leaving if it didn't work, giving her freedom and giving her a chance to encounter another happiness. When he made this decision, his heart hurt as if he was about to be cut by a knife. He also knew that if he gave up, he would never meet a woman who was as compatible and understanding of him as Joe Jipping in this life. And happiness will also leave him. When he came here at night, he just wanted to be closer to her. Unexpectedly, he met Joe Mikang, and by some strange combination of circumstances, he revealed what was on his mind. After being asked this question by Joe Mikang, the decision he originally thought was the best suddenly turned into a knife, cutting into his heart. After all, I have known Yu Mingtao for many years and knew his weaknesses. Seeing his painful look, Joe Mikang couldn't help but sigh, "Go in and see my sister. She should not be asleep yet." Since returning home from the hospital, Joe Jipping has been shutting herself in her room. She always smiles in response to whoever talks to her. However, there is no smile in her eyes. To untie the bell, the person who tied the bell needs to be tied. Or maybe only Yu Mingtao can really open her heart. Hearing what Joe Mikang said, Yu Mingtao felt even more guilty. His wife had always had a normal schedule, but now she just had an operation and was still not sleeping. He knew very well what the reason was. Sure enough, when Chu Xia pushed the door in, Joe Jipping was staring at the room in a daze, sighing secretly. Chu Xia stepped forward and held her hand. "Second sister, what are you thinking about?" "It's nothing." Joe Jipping turned to her with a forced smile. "Chu Xia is back. Have you met Xiaoxing's parents? Are they all okay?" "Fat Aunt and Uncle Gang Shun are fine. Second sister and second brother-in-law are here. Do you want to let him in?" Chu Xia straightforwardly told the reason why she came in. After a slight pause, Joe Jipping nodded. "Okay, let him in when he comes. It's time to talk to him, lest it be too difficult for him to be caught in the middle." At this time, let me put it this way, Chu Xia really doesn't know what to say. Maybe, or maybe, this is true love? Well, 3 uncertain words showed her uncertainty about this matter. Back in their room, Chu Xia and Joe Mikang couldn't sleep, so they leaned on the bedside and chatted. Seeing the clock pointing to 11 o'clock in the evening, Chu Xia couldn't sit still and pushed Joe Mikang, "Go down and see the second sister." Joe Mikang was also worried. Yin Yang quickly got out of bed, opened the door and went out. A quarter of an hour later, she came back with a smile on her face. As soon as Chu Xia saw his appearance, she knew that the second sister's alarm had been lifted, and she breathed a sigh of relief. "Tell me the result." "The second brother-in-law came to our house to celebrate the new year and accompany the second sister." Chu Xia looked surprised. The second brother-in-law is not worried that his mother and father committed suicide. He said he had a way to stop them from making trouble. Now he just wants to spend time with his second sister. He hopes that after this incident, they can be calm in the future. Joe Mikang touched her forehead. "Don't worry about it. Go to bed quickly. My father and my mother must be worried about this and can't sleep. I'll go over and let them know first." While speaking, Chu Xia had already gotten out of bed and pulled on her shoes. "Now that you've passed, take this to your father-in-law and mother-in-law." Joe Mikang took out an envelope from the bedside cabinet. "This is my year-end allowance, so my parents can use it as a gift." Asterisk. Updated to today.